This is an exclusive first look at one of many ICE raids happening in South Florida Sunday. This one happening in the neighborhood of Brownsville.
They went up in there, did whatever they wanted. They turned off the cameras, excuse my language, and then they took my wife.
What it is, what it ain't, it's a boy Carlton with another video for anything, everything, where I talk about anything I want and everything that comes to my mind. In today's video, we're going to get a little spicy. Okay, so as you guys can see that there is a lot of commotion going on in regards of the ICE raids and mass deportation, Trump being, essentially barbaric with the way that people are getting deported, but it's just so much nuance around the topic, and nobody really knows what's really going on. They don't really know how ICE proceedings work. They don't really know how deportations work. You just have one side that's just calling Trump a monster and Republicans monsters and racist. Then you have another side saying no, they're doing a good job, they're getting rid of criminals and rapists and murderers and all these terrible people. And the truth of the matter is, no one's completely right. Every side has a bit of the truth, but it's mischaracterized and essentially it's wrong simply because they don't know how immigration works. Now, how do I know how immigration works? I'm glad you asked. If you guys didn't watch my video, which was my life story, I'll pin that over. So I was in immigration for 7 months. I was in the ICE detention center in Miami. They picked me up. They sent me to Chrome. After a few days, they transferred me to a place called Glades County. And then from there, I was there for, 7 months. And then boom, I was able to get bonded out. I won't go into the whole snitch of it, but yes, I was in ICE. I know how the proceedings work. I know the different things that I can apply for to gain status. Like when you're in a position like that, there's nothing to do but to be in a law library. The thing about being in ICE is, I can definitely say it's probably one of the most traumatic things that you can experience. Being in ICE is almost as worse as being in a state or federal prison. And here's why. Though ICE is federal, meaning they treat you kind of good. So when I say they treat you kind of good, you get good food, they have soccer fields, basketball courts, you getting chicken, steak. I mean, you getting good food, but the thing about ICE is very traumatic. And here's how. You don't know if you're going home. You don't know if you're going to be deported. You don't know if you're going to stay in the state, and you don't know when you're going to get out, right? So, for example, let's say I go before a judge and they deny me on my bond. Now, while I'm in ICE, if I want to stay in the States, I have to get a lawyer, whether it's pro bono or whether it's paid. I have to file for whatever I'm going to file for, whether it's I-130, whether it's a U visa, whether it's whatever it may be. And whatever I file for, asylum, whatever I file for, I have to wait in ICE detention while that application is processed. So while that application is being processed, I can't go nowhere. They won't deport me because it's being processed, and I can't go home because my bond was denied. And let's just say my bond was approved. In ICE, there is no 10%. If your bond is $5,000, you have to pay the whole $5,000. I seen this one guy from Brazil. He came in, his bond was $15,000. He paid that. He paid the whole $15,000 and got out of there with the quickness. So, but here's one thing that I will say is there's a lot of hysteria going around, and there's a lot of false things. For example, they're making it seem as if, people are just getting picked up. If you're an immigrant, they're like pulling, they're profiling you. You look Hispanic. You got papers? Let me see your papers. Like, I'm not going to lie. I know that's not happening in Miami, but I have seen cases of that in places like New Mexico and Arizona. I'm not going to say that it happens everywhere, but I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like it doesn't happen. Like there's not immigrants that do get profiled. I won't make that lie. It does happen. It does happen. Immigrants do get profiled. But what I am saying is they're blowing it out of proportion, thinking that it's something that that just happens all over the place. It's always happening. It's not the case. Does it happen? Yes, it does. Now, for example, right? Here's a way that they lie. I'm going to show you guys a video. There's a video where there was an ICE raid in Miami, and a guy, his wife was picked up in the ICE raid, and when they asked him about her status, he was like, oh, she was in the middle of it, and then they just picked her up. She had court. She was on her path to citizenship. Let's play the video first.
ICE raids taking place today right here in South Florida as President Trump makes good on his campaign promise of mass deportations. And tonight we're hearing from a man who says his wife was detained. Good evening, I'm Elliot Rodriguez.
And I'm Lauren Pastrana. CBS News Miami's Chelsea Jones spoke exclusively to that husband. She joins us from outside the detention center in Miramar with what he's asking the president to do.
He wants the president to let his wife stay in this country. He tells me their 11-year wedding anniversary is on Friday and that his wife was in the process of getting her citizenship. This is an exclusive first look at one of many ICE raids happening in South Florida Sunday. This one happening in the neighborhood of Brownsville.
They went up in there and did whatever they wanted. They turned off the cameras, excuse my language, and then they took my wife.
This man who wished not to be identified says his wife is from Venezuela and has lived in the United States for a few years. She was one of 3 people taken from this home. I'm told the 2 others were men who worked in construction. You see them here. This video, only 1 minute and 52 seconds long, we do not see his wife being removed from the home. But this is a picture of her that he keeps in his wallet. Her name is Vianis Ramirez, and he says she was in the process of becoming a United States citizen.
She already had a court date. She was good. Everything's good. He just came in and snatched her.
These are pictures from the Department of Homeland Security detaining other undocumented men and women in Broward County.
It's despicable what they're doing right now. It's very embarrassing.
President Donald Trump arrived at his Trump National Golf.
I'll stop it there. Okay, that's a lie. It's virtually impossible for someone to be on their path to citizenship and ICE just comes and pick you up. It's impossible. For you to be on the path of citizenship, that means you are a green card holder, which also means you're a permanent resident, which means that you have a lawful legal status. The only way your status can be revoked is if you commit a crime or you filed your application fraudulently. And either or, your status is getting pulled, and the second your status is pulled, you're now undocumented and ICE has to come get you. It's that simple. For someone to be on the path of citizenship and ICE just come picks them up, impossible. Listen, this is an ICE raid. Listen to the word raid. For you to do a raid, you already have to know who your target is. So it's not like they're just coming at random. You already selected. You are already selected. And with her already being selected, they already know what her case was. They already know what her status was. So there was no need to come and ask questions. Here's what I will say. If ICE comes and raid your house like that, you do not have to open the door. You do not have to open the door. So don't spook out. If you see it, just stay quiet. Listen, I had this one guy that I was in ICE with. ICE came to his house to come pick him up. He ignored it. They left, but they camped out. And the second he drove away, they pulled him over and they picked him up. So obviously they're going to find a way, to try to get you. But all I'm saying is if they come and raid your house, you don't have to let them in. But there's a lot of hysteria going on where, they're using this moment to create a narrative. But here's what I will say. There was a case. There were some people picked up in Miramar, I think it was, at a parole center. Now, the parole center, the thing is, legally, you can get picked up if you're on parole, but it's not something that typically happens. So for me to see that there's people on parole that's just getting picked up, it does make me a little weary. It does make me say, damn, that's a little crazy. Because if you're on parole, they give you a work authorization. So you have technically a legal status, and you're going through the court procedures. You just have to do your regular check-ins, and typically they let you chill, you good. But now I'm seeing they're going after people in at the parole centers, and they're just picking them up. And that's like, damn, that's a little crazy. That is a little crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. That is a little crazy. But what I will say though is there is a lot of false information going around, and there's a lot of people that's trying to portray a narrative and create false perceptions, and obviously have their own agendas when it comes to things like this. So all I will say is when it comes to this media, don't believe these people. Don't trust nothing you see. Everything has an ulterior motive. But thank you guys for tuning in. See you guys next time on Anything, Everything. I'll be covering more of immigration and giving you guys a little bit more information on my immigration experience, because I know that, listen, I have stories for days of things that took place in ICE. But see you guys next time on Anything, Everything. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, please. Thank you. Peace.